families have been affected by this. Oops, recording.
I did that, Cass, because it wasn't recording already. So
Thank
I'm
you.
recording it.
Oh, you're my backup. Thank you. We've been through this on workshops before. Many of us and our families have been affected by this contagion. I request that you stay strong. We will get through this. Keep moving, exercise, eat healthy, keep learning, and stay engaged, and continue to grow in new ways. With that in mind, I'm going to segue into the next topic, which is our featured program of the day. Many of you might be able to see that Laura Pollak is with us. She joins us today from the left coast in North Carolina. Laura is a member of our PSSC, besides a lot of other organizations. Laura, you'll have to go into that and let everybody know what you all do.
I'll be happy to.
And Laura actually won 3rd place gold in our 12th annual exhibition with her abstract painting of Behind the Curve. I originally met Laura in 2019 at my very first ever IAPS convention. As I looked around the exhibition, I was struck still by an amazing work of abstract art. It really stopped and made my heart sing. I have since taken several of Laura's online workshops and continue to learn from her warm and very friendly style of teaching. Laura will demonstrate her unique style of abstract painting, and please visit her website for learning opportunities and study with Laura. And we will be getting those onto our website under our upcoming events and blogs. So you can look up there for that information also. Upcoming events. Please keep your eyes out through the Theme Thursday announcements. The next Theme Thursday is Expressions of Love. That'll be on January 27th. As usual, the time is 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Sorry, 6:30 to 8 p.m. and that's Pacific Standard Time. So from our friends out in DC, just add 3. There are numerous ways of showing creativity on this theme, which is the expression of love. And it's just in time for Valentine's Day. Margie Murray will work on her expressions of love by painting lovebirds. Now, what are you going to paint? Bring your own beverage and snacks? Heads up, Margie has insured fun for the 2nd and 4th Thursday of February and March upcoming. On February 10th, we have the talented Glenn Maxium hosting with the theme of how to work from photographs. On February 24th, Lynn is going to take the hosting duties with whimsy as her theme. March 10th, Otto will be joining us on schedule, and he's on the schedule for March 10th, and he's going to be creating the narrative. March 24th, Christine Obers will have us be painting Furry Friends. Check the website calendar, and there will also be more dates on the schedule. So if you forget or you didn't write this down, it will be on it's on the calendar. Another important event coming up is IAPS. Have you registered? Have you signed up for classes? Have you secured your lodging? I'm going to slow down. June 21st through June 26th. If you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out to a board member for more guidance. Exhibitions. Wow. We just finished with our 12th annual member show. I feel it was a tremendous success. We had a lot of firsts occur. We pivoted and rented a store at the Palos Verdes Promenade, complete with the cleanup and organization of managing leftover mannequins and tables. We had a VIP preview night for the local business community through the Palos Verdes Chamber of Commerce and our local Rotaries. Our plan of presentation and education to the local community outside of our own collection of artists touched so many that even those that accidentally wandered into the gallery asked many questions. How long are we going to be open? They thought it was going to be a forever store. Do the paintings change? There were so many inquisitive questions. Many first timers and seasoned art lovers returned several times and brought their friends with them to view the collection, as they were now informed that this was a very limited engagement. 4 paintings were sold, and it is not measurable how many hearts were touched by the experience that they had with a well-curated member show. Please, everybody, I have to applaud, join me with applauding for Chris Killian.
John Corso, or one other.
Okay, let me take care of that. Chris, you did an amazing job of sourcing out the venue. You led all of the negotiations with mall management. Chris worked tirelessly. Okay, I believe he was tired, but he never complained. But tirelessly to improvise and create the hangers so that a clothing store with wall racks could transform into a gallery. He headed the artist gallery sitting schedule. An entire work crew diligently received paintings on taken day with excellent instruction provided by Sue Kuskme. We were ready for our esteemed judge, Mary Esling, to have her quiet time and make very difficult decisions. Many members of the board helped with cleanup to make the VIP event a sparkling evening, complete with music and a talk from Judge Mary Esling. Hospitality led by Linda Leifer and Margie Murray made both the VIP event and the exhibition award ceremony day a delicious affair with finger foods, beverages, and wine. Thank you to those who donated decorations, tablecloths, and wine for the event. We had an oversized martini vessel to accept educational funding donations. Thank you, Virginia Cami, for securing the awards and prizes. Dory Dewberry's demonstration was an eye-opener for several of my friends in Rotary, and everybody enjoyed. They took the time to watch the painting unfold. The memorial wall was beautifully dressed by Lynn Attic. Thank you for those who lent out paintings that were in your private collections of those artists so that all of us could benefit from the creativity and beauty. There was so much more, so please visit PSSC YouTube channel and view the exhibition. Currently, we are planning our 13th annual member show to be held in the spring of 2022. That's not too far away. Check in with your creative genie and plan on participating in your show. We will be back at the Promenade on the Peninsula. Dates are yet to be established, but tentatively it's set for April, possibly late April, early May. Please consider helping and volunteering. Show of hands to Chris Stillions with our next exhibition and join his committee. Just saying, what can I do is so helpful. And be an exhibiting artist. All members are guaranteed to have at least one artwork accepted into the exhibition. I want to talk about paintings coming in. So Robin, I think I saw that you were on here. Yes, hi Robin, how are you?
Hi there, everybody.
So Robin, I'd like for you to be able in the chat to put in the website for Destination Art and the contact information. I'm going to go over the dates for what's coming up in the brochure.
Oh, great. And I can, do you want to try sharing that as well?
Do you have it to share? I haven't done that yet, so I would rather.
Let's see. I'm on my iPad. Lynn, are you able to do that? But while we're at it, I also looked at the chat, and it only allows me to chat with Laura for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All you have to do is hit.
Welcome, everybody. We do have a lot of great things happening at Destination Art, even with this Omicron surge. We actually made the decision to sort of delay classes that were scheduled to start in January, and we've pushed them out to start in February. So we do have a wonderful list of pastel classes coming up that you're welcome to look at on our website, which of course is destination-art.net. But just to highlight a few, talking about Dory Dewberry, Dory is going to teach her second 5-week session class with us. This time it's going to be an emphasis on underpainting. It's very exciting. It's going to start in late February, the 23rd, and it'll explore choices when you're starting a pastel painting and using an underpainting and all that entails. We also have a 1-day, so far it's still scheduled at the end of January. We'll see what happens. Mike Ishikawa is one of our instructors as well. And Mike had this brilliant idea. He wants to teach a class about stretching your imagination with color. He's going to have you take a black and white photo and choose your color palette and create a pastel painting with it. That'll be a full day workshop. Joe Mancuso is coming back in February to teach a 2-day workshop. It'll be a winter landscape in pastel. And we're really super excited about Tony Elaine coming in May. Tony Elaine is coming to California, and we're going to have him for 2 days over at Destination Art, teaching a wonderful class, because only Tony can, both he's a showman and an incredible artist. And those are all up on our portal right now. If you'd like to register, if you need any help registering, you can always contact me as well. Tony's class is called Creating Mood and Atmosphere in Pastel. So we're very excited. Plus we have one more new instructor who's going to be teaching a basic drawing class. Her name is Yun Suk West, and she is an incredible artist. Kind of similar with Otto's background. She worked for Disney designing their rides. She's a graphic artist. She's a well-trained artist, and she's going to be doing a beginning or refresher drawing class with us. So take a look at our website. We welcome you to come to Tuesday Paint-Ins. Everybody who comes obviously wears a mask, but if you need some camaraderie, we've had this group meeting since COVID, still relentlessly. They're fearless. They come in, they distance themselves, and they wear their mask, and they have some camaraderie, so they're not alone doing art together. So there you go.
Robin? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Robin, could you mention the Pacific Arts Group show that's there?
Not.
Oh gosh, Joy, thank you. I really do want to highlight the fact that we've also continued to have shows in our gallery throughout COVID. And the first week of January, I was very privileged to be there for the take-in and to hang and curate the Pacific Arts Group, I guess their annual show. There are 14 of their artists hanging in the show, and it is really, really special. The caliber of the artists in the show, as you know, Joy being one of them, and there's many of you also who are in the show. It's exceptional. And a few other friends who come in to help me hang and curate also could not get over the quality of the art. It just made it such a pleasure to hang this show. It's stunningly beautiful. And even with what's going on right now with Omicron, we do have gallery hours that were open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 11 to 4. Right now, they're scheduled to have their reception called Art from the Heart on February 5th from 2 to 5, I think, Joy. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's a gorgeous show. And it obviously is a mixture of mediums. It's not pastel only. We've got a lot of oil painters, plein air painters, and we have mixed media painters in this group. So it's stunningly beautiful. I really recommend that you come see it in person. It doesn't at all do the same justice if you see it online. And almost all the paintings are for sale on our website. We now sell paintings through Destination Arts Portal. So come and take a look. It's absolutely a gorgeous show.
Thanks,
Oh,
Robin.
thank you, Robin, very much. And thank you, Joy, for mentioning that. Next up, we have paint outs. Now, Bernard, I'm
Yes.
glad you're with us, Bernard. You've been going out in all kinds of weather. Okay,
Correct.
honey, come and tell us what's going on.
Well, I'm doing this with a small group, and some of them have been my students for years, and we go out regardless, rain, shine, and thick fog, to paint along the cliffs and at various locations from San Pedro to Manhattan Beach. And this is a private class, so I do charge a very small fee when they join in. And then some people come along just to figure out what's going on and what's happening. And we're out there every Friday from 9:30 till 12:30 and Friday afternoon. So it's not really a pastel event as much as it's an event for pastel artists if they want to. So we had a student join us yesterday, and she's brand new, but she brought pastels and managed to make something out of it. So this is a private class, but everyone's more than welcome. And I'm still happy to do a separate paint out for the PSSC.
That would be wonderful. So if people are interested, please contact Bernard. He'll collect names and we can get a little group or do something outside of what he's doing with his little class, unless you want to go ahead and join in for the day, right? I mean, they can.
Yep.
There's a fee.
From
Do the watercolor people go out in the rain? I just wondered if, you know,
well, of
sorry
course,
about that. Of course they
can.
do. Free water. Thank you,
It's-
Bernard. Okay, communication.
Thank you, Kath.
You're welcome. Communications. Now the MailChimps come from Lynn. There's a lot of information that are contained with important deadlines and time-sensitive information, and that's to keep you all informed. So please make sure you look them over and not to miss any opportunities. And there's anything else, Lynn, that you need to add on your end?
Actually, no, just if you get a lot of emails from PSSC, it means we're doing a lot of things. And we do have a very active schedule coming up with all the theme Thursdays and the paint-outs and paint-ins and meetings. And it's kind of an exciting time. And we want you to keep painting so you're ready for the exhibition. I'll be sending out information on the exhibition as well. If for any reason you are not receiving emails from PSSC regularly, please email immediately to info@psscwebsite.org. Let us know if you're not getting the emails, and we'll make sure that we have it correct in our database. Sometimes people accidentally unsubscribe as well. It's happened. So don't worry if that happens. You can fill out a form and get back on. Any questions
Okay.
about that?
But I think that most of the people on today are getting our emails, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be here.
It wouldn't be here. And I also want to thank
If you're not
Lupe.
here, raise your hand, right?
I also want to thank Lupe for working so hard with me on the website. She does a great job. She does all the website, but we work in tandem. And also for Maureen Fennell, who works on our workshops, and we work closely on getting information for you about our workshops. And you're going to hear more about that coming up soon.
That's coming up right next. Maureen,
Okay.
you're on. I'd love you to give
Quick
us an
question.
update on your workshops.
Can
Yeah, good
anyone
morning.
else use chat now? Is anyone else able to use chat?
Let's see.
Because I'm
Chat
only
doesn't
able
work
to
for
see
everybody.
Laura.
So Robin, you just have to hit the blue button and scroll down to hit everyone. Try that.
Yeah,
See
I'm
if that
on an
works.
iPad and I'm hitting the chat thing. I've never had this problem before. It's I for some reason it's not giving me the drop down menu. No matter.
It doesn't work today.
Sorry about.
Robin, I'll go ahead and put the website into the chat for everyone.
You ready for me to go?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of what we have scheduled. Actually, we have a Zoom workshop coming up with Lynn Estelta at the end of the week, Thursday and Friday, January 21st and 22nd. That workshop is sold out. The next thing on our schedule is a workshop with Liz Haywood Sullivan, which runs from March 31st to April 2nd. And this will be an in-person workshop, God willing, and the COVID doesn't take it out. Anyway, the subject will be painting clouds and skies in pastel. And we should be beginning registration really now, but I think we're going to postpone it a little bit to see what Omicron's doing in Los Angeles County. But you will be getting the notice via MailChimp once that goes. So keep a lookout for that. I don't have a price yet on that workshop. I'm working out the numbers. I have to contact some people because a lot of things, the pricing on a lot of things has changed from what we usually see. And then in July, we have some people coming in from New Zealand. They're coming in from for the IAP show, and they're going to do a workshop with us, Julie and Michael Freeman. It will also be a 3-day workshop in person. And it's entitled Mastering Animals. They are what I would call hyper realists. So the point of this show is to teach you how to do touchable animals, basically. So it sounds really good. And we'll have more about that. We'll post these on our website and we'll have more information
So the
available.
state will withhold the tax, and then I will.
Okay. Thank you, Maureen.
Okay.
You've been doing a
I-
tremendous job.
One more thing, I would like to start contacting people for next year. And we also have some time at the end of this year, and I'd like to survey the membership. So we may be sending out a MailChimp to you as well, asking for your input on who you'd like to see come for a workshop. So it'll be very simple, but it would be great to have that input from the membership, because we do want to serve your interests as well. So.
Thank you. So everybody please, quickly at least look through your MailChimps and if you have any artists in mind that you thought, would be very compatible with a workshop for our society, and you don't have to wait for the MailChimp, you can just go ahead and also contact Maureen and let her know. The next up would be membership. Joy, did you walk away? Joy? Okay, I see her screen, but I don't see Joy. All right, we'll move on for a moment and I'll come back to that. Merchandising and promotions. Now, Margie Giorgio is our guru of the fun gifts and purchasing opportunities. And today we have Jane helping us. Any updates, Jane, that we need to know about besides the fact that you're taking care of the raffle for today?
No, I don't believe so. I've got all the names here for you.
Oh, wonderful. So, and just as a reminder, if you register before 6 p.m. the evening before our meeting, your name is automatically, taken care of. And if you registered after 6 p.m. yesterday, please make sure you have your name in the chat so that Jane can add you to the registrants so that you have an opportunity for our raffle. And today we will be raffling off 4 $25 gift certificates to Dakota Art Supplies. So that is very, very nice. And that's
And
what
Kat,
Doesn't work.
if the chat's not working, they can just chat it to you, because I know we can get your chat.
Chat it to me and I will monitor that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
make sure I have that
And then you
monitored.
can tell Jane. Okay, thanks.
So I just talked about the raffle and Joy is back. Joy, could you tell us what's going on with membership?
We have 252 members that are paid up, and dues will be not due until the end of June. So you'll be getting an email message when it's time to pay, since our fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th.
Great.
So we have 252 active members at this time.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That's great.
Tell your friends that aren't here to come and join us.
Yeah.
The ones that, paid, whatever. Okay, showcase of members' work. How many of you, raise of hands, how many of you were with us on Think Thursday? Did you get a chance to draw anything, do anything? Did you learn anything? Would you be willing to share anything that you picked up from Daniel? Or during the discussion all around? I know he picked up some advice from many of us.
I learned something. This is Lynn. I learned something because I'm actually working on a cow painting right now, and he was painting a cow. And what I learned was many different little fun techniques. He emphasizes play, just play. And he was doing some little splattering with alcohol and a paintbrush to make the dirt under the cow look speckled, like there were some dirt holes and dirt rocks, and also using so many different colors subtly, but putting many different colors in the cow's fur. You think brown or black or whatever, but he had the violets and just beautiful singing colors in there. So that's what I'm going to try on my cows. Thank you, Daniel, for a great Theme Thursday. It was amazing.
It was.
I also really liked the way he did the shadow under the cow. he started it and he said, really, when you do a shadow, it's darker than the inside of the shadow. So he came back and put lighter colors inside, and I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Bernard, how about you?
I found it very interesting. I missed the first 20 minutes, but it was pretty evident that he'd blocked in all the main things. And Lynn talked about the sense of play, and he'd painted another cow in the background to the left, sort of in the middle distance, I suppose. And he decided at the end he'd get rid of that. And so he demonstrated that your painting shouldn't be precious, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So every mark you make is not some God-given sign from heaven that you do the right thing. Just relax. If you need to change something, change it. And I think that's, that's what makes us different from illustrators who have to make each stroke count. He's exploring when he does a painting. And, as we looked at it and we absorbed his words, we thought, well, at least I was thinking, well, why don't you put something around the neck, and things like that. But of course, the job was done and there was no need to think critically of it because he was happy with it and time was up. So I think it was a big success. Thanks.
It was wonderful. So thank you very much. Anybody else want to share any tips or little jewels that they picked up, Laura?
Yeah, I think that when Daniel speaks, he so enjoys and loves what he is doing. It's sort of contagious to listen to him as he works. And yep. I was very interested in his knowledge of cows and horses and his feelings toward them. Also, the way he did the highlight on the back of the cow was very interesting. He talked about that, a line of declension. I don't know if I have the right terminology for that. And then he adjusted it because it was very striking and it looks so natural, that bright highlight along the back of the cow, plus his story about roping a cow and being through the sagebrush. Yeah, that was great, and a 1,000-pound animal. Oh my gosh. So
he's a great storyteller.
Yeah, paint what you love. I mean, he intimately knows these animals from working with them and the Southwest, and that shows in his love of depicting them, I think.
So as he was demonstrating, and when he told me, he had some like leftover, pastels from years ago, and he said it was like a box of 12, so I made sure he had an abundance of candy to select from as far as whatever he wanted to do. And I kept thinking all along with his reference photo, it was just this, basic brown, there wasn't anything spectacular. It was just basically there was the cow and not a whole lot besides this, what kind of tree he said, the desert tree that he had. And so when I saw the color that he put in there, and I just kept thinking, I hope he gets a chance to see Laura's abstract. I'd like to see what he does with an abstract cow. That would be amazing. But anyway, if he's not here with us today, I'm sure he'll watch it on YouTube because he would be here if he could today to be able to see firsthand what Laura's going to show for us. But thank you very much for sharing some of those experiences. And it's the type of information that we're able to exchange with each other when we get together in a very informal way. I basically sketched a cow and I sent him a note. I was taking notes, right? So I'm trying to sketch and I didn't have an eraser. So the back legs are 3 legs because as I was trying to correct along the way, but I did it on my notepad because it's a musical notepad. So he got the gist of that because I sent that to him afterwards. I was taking notes. Anyway, that's it for my humor of the moment. I'd like to go on to the Memorial Library. Wow. We have received a very generous donation of books from Joe Kearns to start our Memorial Lending Library. Other members have mentioned that they have books that they would be willing to donate to this library. I am currently storing the books at my house, and I'm looking for a chair and volunteers to help catalog the books and attach labels to the inside of the books. The library hopefully will be stored where we meet and available for lending at our membership meetings. This would be a great time to help your society. We have a mission of education, and it wouldn't take a lot of time. It would be a lot of camaraderie and give you a chance to get together and just go, oh, I have that book. Oh, no, I didn't get that book. But seeing what's going to be available to you. We'll set up some type of time. Please contact me or any of the board members if you're interested in being part of this little party. Hopefully we can get it done in a day. I don't see why we couldn't in just a couple of hours. And the beverages are on me. In addition, Joe Kearns has donated $1,000 to be matched by a 2-to-1 grant by the Ford Family Foundation for a total of $3,000. These are Joe's words. As Carol was a devoted member and officer of the society, in her honor, I would like the award to be named the Carol Kearns Memorial Award for Best in Show. The winner will be awarded $500. So that should cover us at least for the next 6 annual shows. We are extremely grateful for Joe to help us remember Carol with the funding for this award and to instigate and stimulate our new lending library. So take a moment to think about that, and how cool is that? And another good reason why you should be thinking about submitting a piece of artwork for our next show. If you have any books or supplies that you wish to donate to the Memorial Library, please contact me or any other board member. And we want to make an educational opportunity available to all. Now, the next general meeting is scheduled for March 12th. Hopefully, we will be able to continue with the annual March of the Mentors. Possibly, this will be an in-person event at our UMC, but time and guidance will help us decide. So, members, please stay tuned and stay in touch. Reach out and call a member or two and just take a moment to catch up. So, does anybody else that they have anything that they would like to add? Go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand. And Sibia, did you want to go ahead and unmute? Do you want to join in? You'll need to unmute, Sibia.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Since I'm here in Portugal, and I'm hearing out about all these classes, I don't know if there's any, if there's an option to maybe broadcast them somehow, or do some Zoom, so I could attend those classes, or the paintings, or paintouts, no, but paintings. I don't know. I would just like to be more involved, not presently, of course, but I would like to join in some of those events.
Well, Sibia, definitely the theme Thursdays are going to be ones that will be, available for you to join. But what's the time difference from where you are?
8 hours.
8 hours? Okay. Yeah.
In advance here, so it's usually dawn.
It'll be dawn, right? No, it'd be very early in the morning. But our classes, at least on the theme Thursdays, they are recorded, and so you have an opportunity to be able to see what was being done in the process, especially, for example, Daniel's, that was just 2 days ago.
I know.
There's others that are on the website for that. There are other opportunities for joining in on classes, and Laura, who you'll be seeing demonstrating today, also has some educational classes that you can talk with her about getting involved with her classes. So,
okay, thank you.
Anyway, I think I'd like to do for now then is why don't we take a 5-minute break? And we'll get ready for our featured demonstrator, Laura, as she will open your eyes and your world to illumination and color I mean, Laura has certainly changed my life. So if that's okay, we'll just start a little bit early. What do you think, Laura?
Sounds
Laura,
great. I'm here. I've just been
Okay.
having a little snack because it's lunchtime on the East Coast, so I'm ready to go.
Okay, everybody, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come on back and join Laura, okay? You can talk to each other. Yes.
Kath, I'm going to just do one more test to see if I can make sure the screen share is working while everybody else is breaking, okay?
Let's do that. I'll do that with you.
Ooh, screen share.
Yay. I see pictures.
That's a good thing. Are you seeing my easel at this point?
I'm not seeing the easel. I'm seeing your computer screen.
That's not a good thing. Okay, I'm going to unplug that.
Okay.
And try that again. Okay, let me just make sure I got it going.
There's your easel. We
Oh,
have
you do
easel.
see it.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to touch it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay.
Great. And I'm going to ask everybody to stay muted. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them into the chat and I will go ahead and monitor the chat while Laura is.
Actually, if you're okay with this, I love it when people just interrupt and ask. So
okay. Oh.
if they want to do a chat because they don't want to be heard, that's fine. But personally, I love it. So that way I know people are alive and out there.
This is your demo. You get to make the rules.
Okay, I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Did you hear me? I'm gonna open the gate. I'm gonna open the gate and get my stuff on.
Bernard,
Hello?
can you hear?
Yes,
Where-
I can hear you,
Where
Sue.
did everyone go?
I don't know. To the moon?
I went away for a minute and then I came back and there was nothing going on.
Well, I can see a kind of black and white gridded screen, and I presume that that's the demonstrator's imagery, but I'm not.
Yes, what happened is she said we would take a 5-minute break.
Oh,
Yes.
hi.
So I'm
Nancy.
Here
painting.
she comes.
I'm
Hi,
painting.
Nancy, stop
It's-
talking about her. She's here.
I'm here. I can hear you. I'm in the room.
Okay, I get
Now
it.
we know what's happening.
So, hope that. What's it
Bernard, you
using?
need 2 monitors. You need to get another monitor.
Yeah, well, I bought a new an iMac. It arrived yesterday, and I haven't had time to set it up and download Zoom because I've messed up the password to download it. So I've reverted to my iPhone,
Oh dear. Okay.
which is kind of limited. I
Yeah,
have limited access to everything. So
You're gonna love your iMac. I just bought one too. They're fabulous. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. Well, my old iMac was about like a 10-year-old, and there's so many features on it, and I need to do tutorials to figure out some new buttons and things. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to changing everything because I've got so many pictures and photographs that I was filling up storage space, and everything was getting a bit clogged up, and the email wasn't working correctly, which could have been any reason for that, of course.
Can you
But-
not log in on your new computer just with the link and get the big picture as I go along?
I tried to, but I was getting downloading questions, and
Yeah.
and then the password I had didn't work, so I thought that's why I was late attending. So I just decided to abandon that for the time being, just to see what was going on in the general meeting. So yes. Now, whereabouts are you, Laura?
So it's an interesting story. I was just telling this to Kath. Normally, I would be in Naples, Florida at this time of year where it's sunny and warm and nice.
Yeah.
But my husband needed a surgical procedure. So he had a fall in the summer and they reattached some tendons, and all of a sudden it's getting infected. So he's having a surgical procedure on Monday, and we are back in North Carolina, which is normally an absolutely stunningly gorgeous place, except right now it's really not. So it's cold, and we're expecting an ice storm tonight and tomorrow. So we are eagerly awaiting his recovery and then going back to Florida.
Oh, right. Okay. I hope it all works out for you.
Oh, it'll be fine. He's
Good.
it'll be fine. They're just going to remove the deep sutures and he'll be a-okay.
It'd make a great show paint.
Yeah. I'm not going to be doing that. Okay.
Well, it's very
So-
dull, a bit wet here in Los Angeles.
It is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great, very grey, and sprinkles. So not everyone has the best of weather.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Kath when we get started to go ahead and mute everyone if you have that ability. I think I saw you do that earlier. And then, do you think we're all back, or do we still have some missing in action here?
We'll leave
Because
that.
what I'd love to have people do is ask questions. I love the dialogue back and forth. It makes it very much like an in-person workshop. And I also know that I haven't put anyone to sleep, which is a really important thing for me, because it's sort of embarrassing if you think you're boring your audience terribly.
How will we ask questions, Laura?
You'll unmute. So on a, you'll have the opportunity, the ability to unmute. If you're on a Mac, you hold Shift Command A and that unmutes you. Or if you're on a Mac, and I don't know PCs very well, but you can just hit the space bar, ask your question, and then it remutes as soon as you lift up on the space bar.
Okay, thank you.
That would be awesome, wonderful.
One of the things that I struggle with is a heavy hand. And so even using UArt or pastel mat, I tend to fill up the paper. I'm trying to use a lighter hand, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping you can, kind of let us know when you're using a real light touch or a heavier.
Yeah, ask me periodically on a scale from 1 to 10, how heavy are you pushing or what are you doing? And one thing I would like to ask everyone to do is to identify themselves, because all I have are these itty bitty squares, and I want to be able to address you back as to who's speaking. Because, for instance, whoever just asked about the heavy hand, I have no idea who that was because I only have 4 pictures on the side of my screen now. So
That was
tell
me, Kathy. That was me, Kathy Brooks. And when I
Oh,
saw
hi, Kathy.
your
Okay,
name
great.
is doing a demo, I almost lost it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to be there. So I had plans, which I canceled, to be here today because I'm just
This
such a
stairwell
fan.
better be good, and the freaking
You
pressure is
will be. I
on.
mean, my God, you're a legend,
In my own mind, right?
No, I follow you on Facebook. I get your feed all the time on Facebook, and I save so many images like
Oh my
into a
gosh.
pile of art I love.
So Kathy, you said you're in the DC area?
Right. We're gearing up for the storm.
Oh yeah, we're getting it. Yeah. So where in the DC area are you?
I'm in Northern Virginia near Tyson's Corner.
So my son just got a house in Alexandria.
Yeah, I'm in Fairfax.
Okay, so maybe one day when we go up and visit, we'll rendezvous, as long as we're not
love that.
spreading
I'll buy you
germs.
lunch. I'll buy
Yeah.
you. I'm only eating outdoors. I'm not eating inside restaurants, but I know great places I can take you to lunch.
It was interesting. We were up there right before Thanksgiving, and we went to Old Alexandria, which is just lovely. And we go upstairs to this old bar area, and I still have my mask on, and my son says, "You can take your mask off." I said, "You got to understand, I haven't eaten in a restaurant in almost 2 years." And he says, "Everyone's vaccinated here." I said, okay.
Sometimes you never know who is and who isn't,
No.
So I'm fully vaxxed and boosted, and
Yep.
I'm actually wearing N95s now because they say Omicron particles are so tiny that the N95s really work, and I've been getting them on Amazon.
Oh, good.
Just being
Kath, you tell me when I should get going, by the way.
I
I'm ready to
I think we're ready to get started. It's been over 5 minutes, so
okay.
Let's go ahead and get started.
So I'm going to chit chat for just a second, and then you're going to see me disappear from the screen here, and you're going to see me up at the easel, and you're only going to see my left hand. I'm going to try to show you every pastel that I pick up. I generally use Blue Earth. I love Blue Earth. And here is a little thing I would love for you to remember if you're going to IAPS and you've ever heard of the Candy Store. The Candy Store is the trade show where they sell all the pastels and all the supplies. Come and visit me at the Dakota booth. I will be there demoing with their Blue Earth pastels. And I'll tell you when I get up to the easel why I like them so much, because the shape and the texture are just fantastic. So you're gonna see me disappear from the little screen here. You're gonna see my easel right now. And I don't know, do you see my cursor moving or no? No?
Yes.
Oh, you do, okay. So you're gonna see this little square here. And the reason you see it is because I have auto lock on. As I put my hand between myself and the easel, I don't want the focus changing. That's why it says this up here. And I'm going to leave it light for just a couple minutes because I'm going to be using Vine charcoal to show you how I'm going to set up the painting. And then I'm going to take this little cursor here. This is an iPhone that's on my easel, and I'm going to scoot it down, and it will make it darker, because this panel is really black. For those of you that don't know, I've got a YouTube channel, And I have very few, but informative videos on there. And one of them is how to tint a piece of UArt paper black. One of them is how to mount that paper, which I mount it first and then I tint it black. And then there are a couple other videos and there's a full demo. So the YouTube channel is Laura Pollak Artist. And it's just sort of fun to see how other people work. But in the meantime, this is going to look light gray. This is a black piece of foam core and it has a light directly on it, which is why it looks light, but you'll see in a second. So here I go. And please, please, please ask questions, unmute yourself and then remute and continue to ask questions. It will be my pleasure to be interrupted and to answer them. And I'll try to concentrate as much as I can. So this is just a piece of vine charcoal. I almost always have certain habits that I keep doing. And one is just to do marks of thirds. Can you even see that? It's very light on here, but, and please respond. Let me know if you need me to get out of my own way. Sometimes like you're gonna see my hair get in front of it. You have to say, hey, can you move out of the way? Because I won't know what you're seeing. And I just go into thirds. It's sort of like having a business plan. Okay. And if you can't see it, let me know, then I'll lighten the screen so you can see everything. Are you guys seeing these marks at all?
We can see it faintly, Laura.
Let me
I can see it faintly.
lighten it up. I'll lighten it up right now. Now you should be able to see them.
Much better. Yes.
Okay. But I want you, I'm just going to shift this for a second. You're going to see how dark this panel really is. It's more like that. Okay. But for the time being, I'm going to take it way up. All right. So I'm going to be painting something. You can see it teeny tiny, perhaps in the bottom right. I love painting the same thing several times. I learn something new each time. What I also do is I try to remember, where do I want my focal point? I try very hard to avoid the center. So I'll either pick one of my tic-tac-toe corners where it would crisscross. So I'm going to pick this one. And a lot of times I'll often draw a circle, and that's my business plan. I want everything to focus towards this. This is where my lightest lights and my darkest darks will be. One of my philosophies, by the way, is that abstract painting is like a good work of fiction. Whoops, there goes half of that. You should have some imagination, some reality, and let the viewer finish that story. So I'm going to be putting some very light complementary colors right around here. And they'll be almost a lime green. What's nice about using this fine charcoal is if I don't like a mark, I just rub it off, take it away. What's interesting too is if you have a long piece, even if it's like a new pastel or something, and you want to make a relatively straight line, you can put it longwise down on your paper. By the way, this paper is UArt 320. I almost always use that. And you can drag it, you can push it. And what's also interesting is if you need to get a very uniform line, you can push that pastel, but I don't need to do that at this point. So I'm just setting up. This is going to be one of my rock paintings. And another philosophy is also that it's almost like I'm going to plant a light bulb inside the painting. There's no light source that's going to be coming from the outside. The light source is going to be coming from inside the painting. And I have these wonderful sayings that make my life a little bit simpler. One of them is a favorite called the 3 rules of life. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. This doesn't necessarily have to do with pastel, but I sort of use it. Never hurt yourself, never hurt others. Use everything to your advantage that doesn't break rules 1 or 2. So number 3, I'm going to use to my advantage the ability to point all my lines to my focal point. I'm going to use that subtly, sometimes not so subtly, but I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use elements. And like you guys were talking about the other night, the demonstration, I love to play, I love to experiment. The hard part is when you do these types of paintings, you sort of have to take some risks, otherwise you never get anywhere. You always stay in the same place. So I'm going to have some rocks here. My rocks are going to be my focal point and my source of light. I also love to put little surprises into paintings. So I will put a color somewhere else that you wouldn't expect it, like a little rock right here, maybe eventually. So you can hear.
Laura, this is Carolyn Romer. I am seeing, I came in a little late, but I'm seeing the visual of your iPhone. There's a grid. It says AE lock.
Yes.
Slow-mo video. You mean to have that grid on there?
I have to have that grid on there because if I don't, what happens, let me see if I can get it. Hold on. Actually, I could get rid of the grid. I use that actually in my photo. Is it too distracting? I'll have to take the setup off.
No, it's all right. I just was wondering if there was a way to remove it quickly, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'd have to reset up. So hopefully you can see beyond it. It didn't occur to me that that's going to be there. I use that when I photo compose, you know, when I'm out taking pictures, so I see where my thirds are, but I can see why that could be an issue.
That's helpful though. I didn't know about that option. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yes, there's some really cool things, especially in the new iPhoto stuff. For instance, there are apps that you can buy for $10 that change everything to black and white, but your iPhone or your photo app will do it for you. Just take all the saturation out. I do that a lot to see where are my values.
How do you get that option of the grid of thirds within an iPhone? If it's too
That's a good question. I can't remember where it is.
That's all right.
But we can look it up a little bit later, but it is there and it's really quite wonderful. So I'm going to want sort of an S curve where the lines follow of these rocks. And it's just sort of organic. Like when you go out and you walk, my first inspiration, believe it or not, was when I was walking in the neighborhood and I saw some cracks in the pavement. I just loved that pattern. It just, I don't know why, it's so organic and it just suited me. So I started doing different paintings and I would manipulate the format of it. I would manipulate where the different rocks were. And when you think about the surface tension of some of these rocks and how it all breaks and so on, you know, there would be probably a surface tension of a fissure right there, but I'm not going to get into the details at this point. I'm going to start blocking in just a second. The other thing that I always love to keep in mind is scale. I want to have one big area that's a little bit more of a rest place right next to the really tiny fussy things. So I'm always trying to make sure that I've got a big piece right here. In fact, I might even make it a little bit bigger right about there. And you'll see what's going to happen with this as I move along. Okay, so I'm putting this away. And yesterday I was playing with some pastels that probably a lot of you have not heard about. And they're called Mungyo. Has anybody heard of those?
I have.
I really am liking these. I use them to populate my, this is a blue Mungyo full stick. Look how big that is. And it makes a really nice color. So I'm gonna just start. And when we were talking about how much pressure, here's a technique that's very interesting. When you wanna make a line somewhere and you want it to be in just the right place, I rock it and I feel where there's an edge. I push a little bit forward slightly, and then I pull down. And just that gradation of that color suits my style. I really like it. So I'm finding an edge, pushing down on it. I'm hard on the paper now. I'm going a little forward, and then see that gradation just creates something much different than if I were to do this. Watch this. I'm just going to make a line. And it's not quite as pretty, quite as intriguing. So I'm going to do the same thing. The other thing that's very interesting is if you have a pastel that happens to have some nicks or notches in it, it's really quite fun to use those notches to your benefit. So I'm going to pick up another one. Now, this is really, to me, very, very important. Using the same value, this is another Mungyo. Take a look. It's almost the same value, a little bit lighter. And I'm going to overlap and see how I do. I always test the color first. You can barely see what I've done, but I don't want to commit to it just yet. But look at how those two sing together. They're the same value. And they play together so well. So I'm doing the same technique. I'm putting it down, I'm finding a little edge. And again, on a scale from 1 to 10, this is maybe a 3 now, okay? And I'm gonna find other places to use this color. Another habit to get into is hold in your opposite hand a piece of paper towel. Wipe off your pastel before you make your next mark. If not, you'll pick up what you've already put down and then you'll contaminate it. So it's a nice habit to just have this here. See, I've already picked up a little bit of that black. Can you see that? And I don't want to necessarily, I want to leave it here on the paper. So I'm going to do it again because I didn't get it quite the way I wanted it.
Laura, it's Kathy Brooks. Do you ever do a wet underpainting? Or
yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm doing a series of jewels, literally like jewelry. And I don't want a black background for that. So I will pick up a color, or if I'm doing a landscape, I'll pick up a color that is complementary, that is local. And one of the things, you guys are so lucky to have Lina Celta coming in. She's amazing. And one of the things that I learned in her class years ago was doing a watercolor underpainting. And it's just gorgeous, letting it drip and meld. It's really quite lovely. So hopefully she'll be doing some of that with you guys and teaching you how to do that. For instance, in a landscape, I will use hot pink as my underpainting for a sky. Quite amazing what happens with that. It gives a glow the colors just vibrate together. So same value. Now I'm going towards a more aqua. Let's see what happens when I test it. It's a little too light, so I'm not going to go with this one. I'm going to go with a darker version of it, see if I can get that right. The other thing is I like to work all over a painting and see what I can. Oh, see, look at those. Sometimes when you make an error or an unexpected mark, it's time to leave it. You have to recognize it, to leave it, because I like that. Somehow there are some notches in this, and I really like what's going on with it. So I'm going to go with a very light hand and push some of these here because they are playing very nicely together. So on a scale from 1 to 10, this is about a 2. I'm sure you've all heard of Karen Margulis. She calls it butterfly wings. I love that. That's a very good term, just barely touching. But look how these connect to each other. They just sing. And there will come a time in a few minutes where I'm just going to put on the light. I'm going to turn the light switch on in this painting. So I like to play with it all over. Where to next? I'm going to try to bring this up in light now. Now the colors that I really want don't exist in the Mungyo, so now I'm in my blue earth. Now let's talk about why I like blue earth. I don't get anything from them for saying this, but look at the shape, okay? Has these really sharp edges. Now I've not used this pastel yet. I just repopulated my box. It's small compared to a Terry Ludwig. I'm going to pull up a Terry Ludwig of the same type of color and show you, praying I don't drop them. Do you see the difference? Terry Ludwig is the big one on the bottom. Okay. And I love Terry Ludwig. So I have, you know, I say she or he who dies with the most pastels wins, and I like to win. So I'm on the road to getting as many pastels as I can. And the way I look at them as tools in your tool shed, each one has a different function. For instance, I just got a set of Giraud today, and Giraud are different. Okay, look, see, I'm coming up in value, step by step. I'm layering, again, I'm probably about a 2 on the way of pressure. There are different ways, by the way, to hold a pastel. You can do the 2-finger hold, all right? You have to be careful with what I do is sometimes I dig into it with a fingernail and then I break it. But then you can also do a 3-finger hold, and you can use your index finger like a lever to put a point down like there and so on. So what's important is to practice the different ways that you are comfortable holding a pastel. Also note that I will move my arm from my shoulder, my wrist, my elbow, and that's where you get your variety of strokes. And that really offers entertainment, visual entertainment to your viewer. Okay, so bit by bit, the blue earth is organized in such a brilliant fashion that they have it via chroma and value. So all the greens are in a row from the darkest to the lightest, and it makes it so easy to make a choice of what you want to be picking. So I'm going to move my hand, my arm. I'm going to use different pressure as well. And some people say, well, why do you paint on black? This is why. Look at that contrast, that incredible glow of what goes on there. It's quite amazing. And here I'm doing that same technique where I'm putting it down. I'm trying to find an edge, push a little forward and then up. I'm always aware too, see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all equal space. So I have to change that. I don't care for that. I want to have rhythm, and often think of the painting as having a musical rhythm to it. So now these 2 are equal, so I have to play with some of this. And I will bring it up a little bit further, and then I'm going to start to move to another part of the painting. I'm pushing
Laura?
a little harder now. Is there a question?
Yes, Laura, this is Anik. What is the size of your paper?
That's a good question. This is 12 by 16.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So that's another piece of information that's important. When I first started, I talked with my husband. I said, look, I'm really going to get interested in this and I'm going to frame all my own stuff. And he says, okay, fine. And so I did. And that meant that I could chop and join anything that I wanted to. So I bought 8 and 10 foot lengths of sticks of molding, which is also fine. And it finally occurred to me, why are you doing this? You could probably just go ahead and paint into, let's say, standard sizes like normal people do, like 16 by 20, 24 by 36, and so on. So I'm going to bring in some more of these colors here. I am now going to be working in my blue earth box. Look at the richness of that blue. And this is a brand new one. A lot of times I will reserve these colors for when I need to make a mark. I just want to show you, I may not keep this mark, but look at what I can do. I'm just touching that edge. Do you see that? Let me zoom in on that for a second. Hold on. Do you see this mark right here?
Yes.
You can't
like a little
do
streak.
that.
Yes.
You can't do that very easily with other pastels. Okay, I'm gonna get back into focus. There we go.
Laura, it's
is that a
Carolyn
black-
Romer again. Oops.
Is that a black paper or is it?
So this is a paper that is normally the cream color that I have tinted black. And probably before you got on, after our little break, I was mentioning that I love to tint my own paper black. Reason being that UArt sells these wonderful papers, okay? But they're never dark enough for my taste. And for that reason, I tint them black myself. So now this is another deep blue. It's a little darker in value, but that's okay. I'm shifting it around a little bit.
Laura, it's Kathy Brooks. When you tint it black, do you just use a black pastel and then like alcohol or?
Excellent question. Okay, let's go back to color theory. Color theory basically says that if you use plain black, it often gets a little bit flat, lifeless. However, if you use different colors of the color wheel, complementary colors, you will often get a deeper, richer color. Now, what does that mean? It means that if you use a deep, deep sepia brown, like for any of you that use watercolor, if you want to get a real dark, you use sepia and Prussian blue, okay? So the same thing holds true for tinting a piece of paper dark. So use a deep purple, could be even a new pastel, which is perfectly wonderful. It could be, you could use, if you have a super light hand, a Terry Ludwig eggplant, which is my all-time favorite of all pastels. But if you combine the different colors, you will then have a deeper. Okay, someone's got to mute. You will have a deeper, richer set of colors than you would if you just used plain black.
Great, thank you.
And that is all explained in my YouTube video. So take a look at that. So this is, again, this is just a darker, but this is a grayer color. This might not work. I'm going to test it. Yeah, it works. Okay. No, I don't like that. So sometimes you just have to put a little mark down and say, is this going to work or not?
Laura, this is Kath. Could you explain it? it's going to work or not? What's the decision making going on there?
That's another good question. Is it going to work or not? Let's take that color back again. This has a much grayer chroma to it. It has less color pigment. Let's put it over here. First of all, it's too light of a value, and I don't care for that. Second of all, it doesn't sit well in my color desires for graduating this color. It would be okay, but it doesn't suit me. And everyone has their own sensibilities on how they want to proceed with certain colors. So that's not a distinct scientific answer. It's my taste. It's just, it didn't sit right with me. So this is greener. And Kath, did that answer that question for you? Or not really?
No, of course it does, because it's very subjective, and I think you have an idea or a map of what your outcome's going to be, and you're trying to get there.
Yes, exactly. So again, I'm using broken color. This is a phrase that I really hadn't heard until I had read Richard McKinley's book, which is, by the way, a really great book on explaining nuts to bolts, everything that you really need to know. But broken color is talking about using the same value and different hues. Now, we've heard the story that color gets the glory, but value does the work. And quite frankly, you can paint a portrait in purples and oranges, and if you get those values right, you're golden. It'll work. You do not have to worry about anything as long as you get your values right. So right now I'm still staying very close. Now, see, this is very bright. That doesn't mean that the value's off. I'm going to squint. It is a touch lighter than everything around it, but I'm going to glaze. Butterfly wings, really light. But if you can keep if you understand values, which is something that I love to teach because it is truly the secret of what makes things work. If you can get your values going, you can paint anything. And so I will take this is a brand new one. I will rock it, find an edge, push forward and pull down, and I get this nice clean edge. Now I have a very bad habit, being left-handed. I tilt my head to the right so that I can see where things are going to hit, but then everything gets really skewed. Everything goes cockeyed crooked, which is sort of crazy. See, like that mark, not what I wanted. Okay, it's time to start changing a little bit about what's going to go on here. See, I love the way that skipped over it. And it is so important to recognize when you have something like that little mark. I didn't intend for that, but I'm really loving it. So when you have something that you might consider a mistake, that you remember to say, maybe I should leave that.
Okay. Laura, this is
Okay.
Carolyn Romer again. You were mentioning values. Since you're, as a landscape planner artist, you can see, the values in front of you. But as an abstract artist, you're creating your own value contrast.
Yes.
So just how do you arrive at that? Do you, make it interesting?
Well, personally, I just love color. So I'm not, and one of the things that I love to teach too is in a workshop that I have been doing for the last year called Abstracting the Landscape. And you're going to have to forgive me if I don't answer the question and then re-ask it a different way. But anyway, I will change the color to suit my sensibilities. I love vibrant, bright colors. And if I think a tree is just too dull and gray, I will change it. And I'll make it red or something. And again, this is where playtime comes in. And it's where experimentation comes in. So I don't know if that answered it, but I can tell you that the rules for me, my rules are, if I work within values, then I will always have something that works. So let me show you that. First of all, did that answer the question?
Yeah, pretty much so. I'm just saying, as you know, working as an abstract artist, making those contrasts, color contrasts and values work to make it, you know, to lead you into the painting and so on, I'm assuming would be important. And how would you establish that without, you know, not like I'm a landscape painter, so I see the values in front of me and I can push them, but I'm not an abstract painter. And that's why I'm fascinated with your work, how you arrive at
If I showed you the stacks in my studio of failed paintings where I have experimented, you might be horrified because there's so many of them. Every painting, whether it works or not, I ask myself, what did I learn? What did I learn? And I have a very bad habit of speaking badly to myself. By the way, do you see what I'm doing here? I'm putting red over green because it's the same value, it works. So I always am asking, what did I learn? What worked? What did not? So do you see that this color over blue and green, which would normally make mud if you blended it, here, it just sort of sparkles a little bit. Now I'm actually going to go into the oranges. So more on the topic of how do I arrive at some of those colors? I experiment. I do color swatches where I just take bands of color and go, does this play well with this other color? This is more sepia, more orangey. And I try to create a mental library. Did that work? Did it not? I study everybody else's paintings. I'm on Facebook, as you guys probably know, and I look at everybody's paintings, but I don't just look at them. I go, why did that work? What is it that I like about it? Why did that not work? What bothers me about something? Learning how to critique your own painting and understand what the elements of a good painting are. I've come up with a checklist and I try to decide, for instance, edges are important. So right now I haven't even addressed the outer edges and I really am going to go do that now. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to take this blue right here and just do a little bit of work over here. I'm finding that edge, pushing forward a hair. And then I've got something going. Turn my hand. Do a little bit over here. So back to that question, because it's a really good one. It's almost not a tangible answer, is how do you do that? You play, you experiment, you create your own mental library. If you get really scientific with it, you actually make notes. At one point, I sat in my studio on a winter day before we were going to Florida, where it was gray and had snowed and so on. I took my pastels, I took a piece of scrap paper, and I just said, what are the colors of winter? And I did that. Okay, so here is a Terry Ludwig eggplant. I'm going to create a few shadows right about here. Now, do you see how much? I'm going to make a mark out here. Well, actually, in one of the veins of this, look how much darker. And I'm twisting and turning and pushing, and look how much darker that is than the paper. It's an amazing pigment that really doesn't exist in any other place. I haven't seen anybody else's pastels manufactured that can come up with a color like Cherry Ludwig can do.
Is it a secret formula, Laura? This is.
I bet it is. I bet it is. Yeah. Okay, it's
Do you
time
have
to turn on the
something
light.
comparable? Is there something comparable, from Dakota or Blue Earth that?
So I'll show you Blue Earth's darkest black-ish. That's right here. And I'll put it right next to that. You see it's brown. I don't know if you can see it. It's not nearly as dark. It does not have that richness.
Yeah, it's
and
the Cherry Ludwig is on a whole nother level.
now this is a Sennelier because I was told that this is dark. So I'm going to make a mark here and let's see what that does. That's pretty dark. That's pretty good. Can you guys see that? Do you need me to zoom in on it?
It just doesn't seem to have the same life as the eggplant.
No, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. So let's talk about putting that light bulb in right about here. I'm going to start with a very dark red, almost rust color. You guys see that? It's almost brown. And I'm going to make some rocks. I'm just going to put in some little marks here. I'm pushing a little bit, but there we go. So here's a tip. If you ever get to the point where your tooth has been filled up and you can't get more color on and it's getting smeary, all you have to do is take a nylon brush. Here I have color where I didn't necessarily want it. All you do is tap it. The stuff falls straight down, gives your tooth back, and now I can put more stuff on it, okay? So that's a little tip. Seems to work well for me. I used to go into this and just try to push harder and make more marks, and that just doesn't work particularly well. So what I'm doing is I'm just going in with a dark color of reddish. I'm gonna go actually, well, I guess I can continue that. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna bring it further down here. So these are my little rocks in a fissure. Another thing that I found very, very interesting is years ago in 2012, I took one of my very first workshops and it was with Liz Haywood Sullivan, who's freaking brilliant. Anyway, I was listening because I couldn't see. When you're in a in-person workshop, you're sitting behind the artist who's in front of her painting at the easel, and I couldn't see. But what I did is I listened. And if you are hearing tap, 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 you're probably going to get sort of a boring series of marks because they're all going to be the same. But what I noticed with Liz is they were all different. It was Morse code. Listen to yourself as you go into your painting and see what the sounds are. I'm going back to a Cherry Ludwig. This is my area of light. This is shining on this, and that's going to be shining on that. So I'm going to put the darks in here. And remember, in pastels, you always work from dark to light, okay? And think of this as a fire pit. You're facing a fire pit. You're outside, and your face is getting lit up, okay? But your backside is cold. Well, this is the backside. That's the backside. This faces the fire. This does not. We're going to address that a little bit later. So as you go around, this bottom side faces the fire, but this backside does not. So if you can remember the direction of your light as it's coming at you, you can create this glow that, to be honest with you, I accidentally stumbled on and have just run with it because I love it so much. Questions? Are you guys alive out there? Have
We
I
are
lost
mesmerized.
everybody?
Yep.
Mesmerized. Okay.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
Well, now it's time to put some light on this. Okay, we're going to pick a dark red and we're going to work up bit by bit. Notice I'm turning my wrist, my hand. That might be too similar in value, but it is warming it up a little bit. And as I go further away, it's going to become darker and darker. It's not going to have the same amount of light. So for those of you that weren't here right at the very beginning, please come and visit me at IAPS at the Dakota booth. I will be doing these types of demos there. Okay, we're taking it up a step at a time now. How am I doing on time, Kath? Am I okay?
You're doing fine. A good 23 minutes more to go if you'd like.
Oh yeah. So now comes the frosting. This is a very bright red. You see it over there. Light bulb should come on about now. And what's important is you can't put this everywhere because then it takes away the uniqueness of that. So this goes deeper into the fold. And so for those of you that have asked, how hard am I pressing? This is about a 9 and it's almost impasto. It's sitting on top. A trick that I learned the hard way is when red gets lighter, you don't take it into pink, you take it into orange. Let's see if that'll work here. See, that's impasto. It was just sitting on top of it.
Are those Dakota pastels?
These are all Dakota, yeah. It's not Dakota, it's called Blue Earth, but it's uniquely distributed by Dakota. Nobody else that I know sells them. A little tip that I like to do too is normally on this type of painting, I will touch a painting, but there are these clay shapers. And sometimes when my fingers are just too big, I will hold them down like that.
Well, Laura, it's Kathy Brooks. Is that just blending? I was going to ask you about blending as well.
This is just, yeah, it's just sort of tamping it down and pushing it. I do in some other of my paintings, I will really rub it, but it's a different kind of painting. And that's when I need a very, very serious gradation that is very smooth. And that's like when I do the metals. So now I'm taking the Terry Ludwig Blue Earth and I'm creating the super darks next to the super brights. And I'm creating my little fissures. I'm rolling it, I'm twirling it, I'm pushing it. And I'm varying the pressure. Light and dark, I mean, pushing hard and then not. Here's a story for you. on one of those paintings where it has a lot of dark in it, I was lucky enough to get into the Pastel Society of America's Enduring Brilliance show. I was so excited. I told my husband, I'm going. He says, see ya. And then he says, okay, I'll go with you. So I ship it up there. It takes me a day to pack it with the greatest of care. I get up there, I go into the show, I can't find my painting. I go around again, can't find my painting. I'm panicking, did it not make it? So I'm gonna step back for a sec. I finally find my painting. It is hung gallery style in New York because it's a very small place at the National Arts Club. And by the way, these are super light marks. I'm barely touching the paper at this point. Here, I'm pushing hard, but when I do these little fissures, I'm barely touching it. So the story goes is I find it and I don't even recognize my own painting. It is so dark, it is so gray, it is so muddy. I had to sort of pull myself out into a corner because I was starting to cry. I was very upset. Anyway, it turns out after it shipped back, I opened it up immediately to see what had happened to it. And what had happened was it had dusted. And, you know, most of us are told don't use fixative because fixative will dull it and it'll do this and that. Well, oh, by the way, to make this dark straight line, I'm rocking it, I'm finding the edge and I'm pushing. Okay. The glass was just black with dust. It was horrible. A few months later, Liz Haywood Sullivan was here staying at our home because we were hosting her for a workshop. And she basically says, Laura, you got to lock down those darks. I said, what do you mean? She says, you got to wash them in. So I've taken to tinting black, which you see here, but I've also taken to fixing my paintings. Very few other artists will because of the issues with dulling and the colors. But I have found a technique, again, that's one of my YouTube videos that really works, and I've never had an issue with it dulling. Now, keep in mind, this is not a portrait with delicate colors and so on. What this is an abstract painting, and it works. It just works for me. What I do is there's Krylon, believe it or not, has a new archival fixative that it works well. I take it outside. I shake the can, of course. I test spray facing away from the painting. And then standing full height above it, I will spray and let it rain down like a mist. Questions? I'm here. Let me know.
This is Kathy Brooks. I'm just mesmerized watching you. I'm sitting here shaking my head. Can't believe I'm watching you paint.
Well, what is it? I'm curious. That's of interest.
Your techniques, how you make your marks, how your color plays with the other colors, listening to the tips that you're sharing. I'm very grateful.
My pleasure. I love sharing information. It's one of the things that is very rewarding for me. Oops. See, that was a mistake. I'm going to leave it. recognizing the errors are really fun. So now I'm thinking about the areas that face away from my fire, so to speak. What can I do to have a secondary light that value is lighter and it adds another dimension to it? Sometimes I have to rock it a few times to feel where it is, pull it in, and I can find it. That to me was an eye opener, that I could actually figure that part out, because that was always difficult for me. Taking a lighter value now, and I'm going to try that same thing here. I'm going to find it, pull it down a little bit and pull it in. I don't know that I like that color. I think I'm going to change it. Maybe this one. Let's see how this one works here. I'm rocking it. Yeah, that one works a little better. And now I'll play a little zigzag here. I'll do a little zigzag here.
This is Sylvia. You talk about rocks and fissures in this painting.
Yes.
Do you normally have a natural phenomenon that you deal with that's a recognizable earthly thing?
So that, I love that, because I have trouble with most abstract paintings. I want to relate to something. I want to understand what I'm looking at. And if I were to just splatter color here, I would have trouble having a connection to it. So yeah, I think that to answer you a long way around is, yeah, I want you to be able to look at something and say, oh, I get what that is, and bring your own story to it. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much.
That's why I was saying up front that my personal philosophy of abstract painting in this case is like a good work of fiction. Some imagination, some reality, and then let the viewer finish the story. Let the viewer put themselves in the story. If I give them everything, it could be fairly boring, to be honest with you.
Well, you're opening the limits, in fact.
I would like to. I would like it to be an open door where you make a decision as to what it is that's really going on. So I'm going to pick up a new paper towel. It's always important to keep the stuff clean. Let's see here. And I'm going to take some of these to a lighter, brighter level. So that's the same as it was before. I'm putting some extra pressure on, and I'm going to take it now to the brightest of the brights. I've learned that, believe it or not, the chartreuse, light green, is one of the brightest colors I've got. Okay, that might even be too much. I'll have to step back and see. That's probably a little too much. I'm going to put some oranges on here, which is going to be interesting. I don't know if it'll work, but let's give it a try. Let's pretend that there's a shadow being cast by that rock there. It's too much. So I've made a boo-boo that I don't like. Take my brush, tap, away it goes. But I can take a darker value of that, see if I can find one. Might be a little less chromatic, and let's see if that works. and a lighter hand for sure. Now remember, perspective goes into play because this is my light source. So like the rays of sun, it's going to radiate. It's going to fan out a little bit. Now I don't like that at all. So I'm starting to take some risks. Maybe it just needs to be wiped off like that. Here's a darker, oh, that's the same color. Let's see what I can find here.
Laura, it's Kath. Is it the value that's bothering you on that mark?
It's the value and the chroma of it a little bit. Let me see if I can go into my Cherry Ludwig's here. Maybe I've got what I want here. I have a full set directly behind me, but it makes it, yeah, that's a little better. So I have to wipe it off. Look, I've picked up a bunch of blue and purple, so I have to wipe it off. And then to create some different texture surfaces, I will do a little bit of that. Still okay on time, Kath? So everything that faces this will catch a little bit of light. Let's go a little more to the outer edges. Go to some dark purples. Let's see if this is going to be too light of a value. It's a little bright, but I think it'll work. Very light hand. It's very nice to put a color that's almost the same value inside another. It adds a little sparkle and interest with it. So some people just tape their paper to the easel. I don't care for that. It just doesn't suit me. So I mount my papers.
Laura, this is Kathy Brooks. What do you mount on?
You know, here's another tip of the day. If you guys have a good relationship with a framer, a really good thing to do is go to that framer and say, hey, do you have any dropouts? Dropouts are the acid-free mat boards that are from the inside of a job that they're not going to use. And that's a fantastic thing to mount on, especially if you don't want to have too much bulk. The other thing is acid-free foam core, which this is on. Another thing is called Sintra. It is a plastic, but you have to be careful if you get really big Sintra. It's bendy. Excuse me, unless you get a thicker version of it. Back to pressure, this is about a 2 maybe. The other thing you can mount on is gator board, which most artists adore and love. I do too. It's expensive, but it's good. One thing that I love, this is a whole different topic, is to take a magenta over a green. It just adds a whole bunch of really nice colors to it. It makes it tingle and it's very exciting. see. I'm going to use my Terry Ludwig, one that I really haven't used too much. So it still has very sharp edges, and do a few things for just decorative, just for fun. I like pushing a pastel. So this is crooked, I'll have to fix that. I'm going to create a little more shadow here. And what's hard is when you are demoing, you're trying to work fast, you're trying to talk, do a narrative. Sometimes I don't step back enough to talk, to see what I'm really working on. And when you think of the fissures in a sidewalk, or, you know, the surface tension of how something reacts, sometimes you know that it would just break here. You know, it would just sort of be a little area where it would have a weakness. It's also fun to put surprises in, like where would something that you don't expect happen? And when you think of, for instance, a pianist or a musician, they warm up. They don't just go out on stage without warming up. And when you've seen an accomplished pianist, they do these flourishes, and it creates this drop off of sound and beauty. I keep trying to figure out, how am I going to get the correlation between music and my painting? There has got to be some kind of direct correlation. Let's see what else we can do here.
Laura, do you play music? This is Kath. Do you play music when you're alone in your studio?
Okay, I was wondering who was going to bring this one up. So I don't know about you guys, but I have this nasty little negative Nancy that sits on my left shoulder and says, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. So when I really have to concentrate, yes, I will play music or be totally quiet. When I'm in a groove, I will actually put on Netflix. And you're going, oh my God, I can't believe she does that. Well, the reason, there's a really specific reason. That's because my brain can only listen to one dialogue at the same time. And I can't hear the negative voice that says, don't screw this up. I'm not watching Netflix. I'm just hearing dialogue. I mean, if you can believe, I actually painted a whole series while watching Breaking Bad, or having Breaking Bad in the background of my painting. You'd think it would be all full of blood and guts. But anyway, I have to do that because, just like a little kid who says, oh, you're so fat or you're so stupid, I have to be very careful to say nice things to myself. Otherwise, I'm in a bad way.
So Laura, we just have a few minutes before it's noontime here on the right coast.
Okay.
So
the right coast. Ah, oh my God. All right. So I'm open for any questions, and if anybody wants to make any comments or questions, I'm available.
Floor's
that
open.
Boring, huh? Anything?
Yes, Carolyn again. I just wanted to ask you why you love the Blue Earth, and how similar is it in terms of, you know, I know you said the size, but is it similar to Terry Ludwig in terms of the softness or hardness of the pastel?
Yes, it's very similar. I'm going to show you exactly why. This is a Blue Earth that's never been used, okay? Do you see how sharp those edges are? Watch what can happen. I can't do that with any other pastel. And let me zoom in on it because you're probably not seeing it. You see those marks right there?
Yep.
And there. I can't do that with any other pastel. I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to take a super duper risk and see if I can pull this off. Unless you want to shut the meeting down now, Kath, let me know.
Sorry. I'm fine to stay on for a few more minutes. How about everybody else?
Yep.
Okay, I'm
Let's
going
go.
to make an arc. And this is like, it might or might not work. Oh, let me zoom back out. Otherwise you won't see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna make an arc. Also gonna soften this edge because it's too strong. Okay, and so I practice with my arm. Okay. There's one. And then I'm going to try another. And then I'm going to do something else with it.
Yeah, it's great. This is Doris Birch, and it's been great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm going to try to fix that line. It's got a little bit fat in the middle there. I'm just going to push on it a little bit.
This is Connie Boswell. I have to say, you've really helped make.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part. You've helped make. Are you still there, Connie? Anybody there?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We're here, but that's
Connie
all.
might have frozen. Connie might have frozen. I'm not sure.
Oh gosh, that color is really off. Let me fix it. I'm just getting back to my computer. Let me fix this. Hold on. That's a little bit more like it. Okay. Yeah, there are things I see now, you know, with a different perspective that I'm definitely going to change as I go back to it. But that's that for the demo.
Absolutely delightful. This is Kathy.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so
Laura,
glad.
you did a tremendous job.
Thank you. I love it.
Thank you.
Many thanks. I am so glad. Any last questions or are we all done?
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very, very inspirational.
I put into the chat Laura Pollak, artist. So you can find her on Instagram, YouTube, her website. Look her up and take some classes from her. I've taken the landscape from landscape to abstract from Laura twice, and I continue to learn every time I watch her. It's just fascinating.
Thank you.
Be with
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
In your class, Laura.
I really appreciate it.
With that being said, Jane, are you with us? Could we go ahead and draw the raffle for our participants?
Okay.
I'm going to stop the share then. There we go.
Thanks, Laura.
First name is Kirsty Gulati. Am I saying that right? Gulati.
Now, Kirsty, you need to be here. Are you here?
I'm right here. I've been here. I just didn't have my camera.
There she is. Hi, Kirsty.
There she is. Hi.
Kirsty, where are you from?
Thank you. This has been great.
I'm from Claremont, California.
Wonderful. Great. Nice to meet you.
So I'm new. I was just too shy to say hi this time.
Oh, hi. Welcome.
Well, wonderful. Congratulations. Okay, so we'll have your information from your registration and we'll get you that gift card.
Okay.
The next name is Pam Pavella.
Wow, I know Pam and she's here.
Yay!
Congratulations,
Okay,
Pam.
I just turned my video on. Yay!
Next name is Sharon Ford.
Hello, Sharon. Are you still with us? Can you unmute yourself, Sharon? I think you were here earlier. Sharon, speak up. Oh, there she is. Hi, Sharon.
Sharon Ford.
I'm unmuted.
Hi, Sharon. Congratulations.
I got what?
You won a gift certificate for $25 to Dakota.
Whoa.
Pastels.
Thank you. And this was the best demo I've ever seen on Zoom.
Whoa. Whoa.
Thank you.
Okay, we got one more. Cindy Canacria.
Let's
Cindy
see. Don't know Cindy. Cindy, are you with us? If you are with us, please unmute.
She was here earlier.
Yeah,
I saw her. Yeah.
I don't see Cindy. Okay, Jane, I guess you get to pick another name.
Pick another one. Okay. Robin Johns.
Oh,
Oh my God, I'm here. Is that my lucky day or what? Oh my God. Oh, terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, everybody, I think that's going to wrap up our meeting. I appreciate you all joining us.
Thank you for a wonderful
Congratulations,
demo, Laura.
Sharon. Good
Thank
going.
you.
It was my honor to be asked. Thank you, Kath. It was really fun. You guys are an incredible group. I'm glad to be part of it.
Great. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Thank
Hope
you.
to see you all
everyone.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.
Hope to see you on next theme Thursday. Join us. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Laura. Great job.
My honor.
Bye, everybody.
Kath, I'm going to send
Thank
you a link with the
Jane.
recording.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Bye, everybody.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
Laura.
you. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.